we doing the countdown, David?
Welcome to Coffee Break. Today we have a very special guest joining us. Klaus Bachmann is Principal Embedded Solutions Engineer here at Microchip Technology, here to talk about optimizing your data management with Adaptec maxView Storage Manager GUI. Welcome, Klaus. Guten Tag.
Guten Abend, Dana. Thanks for the invitation. Hey, Dana, I can't see the slides, so is there something wrong? Or I can't see you?
I think we'll have the control booth work on that. But while we're waiting on getting our visuals up, why don't we start with kind of an obvious question. Why do we need storage management?
Well, that's not an easy question, but I try to answer it. I mean, you need it for configuration and administration of your storage, obviously, and your assets. But what is as important is maintenance, right? You want to detect problems before they really occur, so you can take proactive actions and fix the problems before they show up. And also sometimes there are mandatory firmware updates, not just to the adapters, but also to the devices, to the drives, right? And well, therefore you need storage management, and also you want to optimize your assets that you have, and for performance, capacity, and also security. I think these are the items we will talk today.
So what can you tell us about compatibility and support provided for Adaptec storage solutions? I know we have a lot of products in our catalog.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, all of our products are based on our own silicon. So these are IOC chips and the ROC chips. And with that, we have HBA, smart HBAs, and smart RAID adapters. So I explained a little bit the difference. On HBA, it just gives you connectivity to your storage. And the RAID is pretty obviously you have basically a virtualization layer, right? And you have logical devices that are a combination of different HDDs or SSDs that you present to the OS. And obviously, these smart RAID adapters have also cache to improve performance, and the smart HBA is somewhere in between. So also from the cost point of view, but also from the performance point of view, because it has no own cache, right? But it has RAID 0, 1, 10, and even RAID 5 capabilities. There are the slides. Great. We have basically two product generations out there. There's a PCI 3 generation that is very cost optimized and power has low power consumption. But we also have like a PCI 4 generation, tri-mode, 24 gig SAS, supports NVMe, more the performance model. And as you can see here, well, compatibility is a very important item for us because, the adapter has to work with the backplanes out there, with the storage out there. And so compatibility is key here. And we are maintaining and updating our compatibility lists, if new products come on. And as you can see now, we have more than 800 HDDs or SSD listed on this list.
Yeah, that's an impressive number. So talking about Adaptec, what advanced technologies does Adaptec offer to enhance storage performance and security?
Well, we have a lot of experience with storage. I mean, Adaptec was founded 81 roughly, and we have had a lot of products like also FireWire, USB, even software, right, and JBoards. But RAID technology came on board like about 30 years ago, maybe even 35 years ago. So we have a lot of experience with RAID. And today we will talk just about our HBA and, smart RAID adapters. Mm-hmm. It's a common storage platform. Over these two generations, it's the same RAID stack. That means it's the same driver, it's the same software. Even if you have different adapters in the system, you just install one driver. And it's the same MaxView, and it's even the same firmware, right? And the metadata is the same. So if you want to move an array from an older to a newer platform or vice versa, the metadata is the same. So you can, what we call roam drives from one adapter to the other and can still have your data, access to your data. But more important, or even as important as the hardware, is the software, right? And this is our management GUI, it's called MaxView. Then we will talk about security, MaxCrypto, and SED management, key management, and also performance. What you can do to optimize your performance using MaxCache.
So what about the MaxView storage controller? Let's talk about that for a little sec. Let's get. Can you explain what the Adaptec maxView Storage Manager is and how it benefits users managing complex storage environments?
Okay, sure. First of all, it's a GUI that is browser-based. Even it's made for tablet use, right? So there's no right-click. So even you can use it on a tablet. You can obviously manage all the RAID adapters HB we just talked about in your system using just one console, one screen, even if there are several adapters in the system. But also, if you have a network system of, let's say, 10 ESXi servers, and you have a management a server, and you have MaxView on the server, and you manage all these 10 ESXi servers that have obviously then, or must have an Adaptec RAID adapter in there, then you just import or add these systems and have everything on one console. And even better is that you can store the configuration, also the credentials in a JSON file. And then if you want to move, let's say, the management server from Linux to Windows, for example, it's very easy. You just install MaxView on the new server, import the JSON file, and you have all your configurations in one console again within a few minutes. I'm always asked, what does it cost you? And it's free, actually. It comes free for RAID and HBA products. And the other very important item is that it's not just managing the RAID adapters, but also helps you managing the assets, so the HDDs, the SSDs in your system. So we monitor and show all the error counters. The devices report to us. We show you the temperature, if you have like the current temperature, the maximum temperature, and you can also see the smart values, right? And this is vendor independent, really. So because usually all the vendors, like Samsung Magician or Seagate C tools, they have all these tools, but they are based on an HBA or direct attached. So they only run really in this environment. But if the components are behind the RAID adapter, as I explained, it's kind of virtualized. It's a logical drive. They don't see them, right? And very importantly are here the firmware updates. So let's say you want to do, or you have to do a firmware update to your devices. What you could do, you could obviously, dissolve your array before you have to do a backup, then do the updates, and then do the restore. But this is very time consuming, and you try to avoid that, right? And here with our tool, it's extremely simple because you just click on the button, do firmware updates. Imagine you have a 24-bay enclosure or even a 60-bay enclosure, right? And you won't have to update the firmware on all 60 devices. So you just click a button and you say, yeah, that's the firmware file, and off you go. So it just updates one after the other. And at the end, all firmware is updated while you're doing your lunch break. Okay. Enclosure management is also one key item. So it's not that, that if you have a J board, you want to know, is your power supply, so are your power supplies still working? Or if the fan had a failure or something like this, right? So, but also very important is that the LED management is working. So let's say if a drive shows a failure, that the red LED comes on, or you see a smart value comes up, or an SSD lifetime is going down, the 56-day warning flag is set. Well, you want to determine the drive, let's say in a 60-bay enclosure, well, which is the right one. I mean, there are customers out there who put the serial number of the devices on the label and stick it to the, to the carrier. And but it's easier. You just click on the device and say locate, and the LED starts flashing, so you pull the right device out. And not last but not least is SNMP support. We still support SNMP with our MaxView, so because our competition has stopped doing that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's talk about security. So what measures does Adaptec take to ensure the security on data storage devices?
Well, I mean, security becomes more and more important, obviously. And how can you be sure that somebody gets his hands on, on your HDDs or SSDs, and he could put it on any RAID adapter and could be probably able to, reconstruct the array and have access, right? So here encryption comes in, and we have two possibilities here. One is the controller-based encryption. We call it MaxCrypto. So that's working with any device out there that even does not support SED. right? So self-encrypting. So all data that is in the cache or is on the wire out to the devices, to an external storage, is encrypted. Or you activate self-encrypting of the devices. More and more devices support self-encrypting, right? But then the key management is key here. Key management is key, right? So how do you do this? And you can do this via utility, like a command-line-based utility called, for example, SED-util, or you can easily do this with MaxView, our GUI. It's good for HBA and RAID, so it's very easy. You basically give a master key out, and then you click on takes ownership on all SED by a single click, and then that's basically done. And if you create an array, you just click also the button, use SED encryption. And I'm always asked, so what happens if you want to import or roam a foreign drive, right? So this is also possible. Obviously, you need to know the key, right? And then the adapter is doing also rekeying. So all drives or also logical drives that are connected to the adapter or the RAID adapter use the same key, right? Don't lose the key because then all your data is gone, right? I mean,
sounds pretty straightforward. Let's get into MaxCache. What does MaxCache technology improve the performance of storage systems?
Well, usually if you define your server, your storage, you use, or you have been using HDD arrays because they're very cost effective, but the performance is rather low. You can also use SSD, right? But it's just the opposite, right? So performance is great, but well, they're more expensive. So if you have enough money, you probably just choose SSD arrays and you're good, right? But if you need to balance basically cost, capacity, and performance, what is usually the case, you're looking probably for a better solution. Let's do an example. You have 8 drives, you put them in a RAID 5, and each drive has 300 IOs. So you have 2,500 IOs roughly. Okay, but an SSD has easily 30, 40, 50,000 IOs, right? So you see the difference. Mm-hmm. But if you combine this, what we are doing with MaxCache, it's an algorithm. You use an SSD array that stores all the frequently used data. And, so you have quick access to it, but it's still using the HDD array for backup, for capacity, and then you have a good combination, right? And so the overall performance is increased. So it's about like 30 times better usually. That's quite a conservative number, but instead of 2,500, you get about 70K IOs usually. What is for most applications good enough? And the nice thing about it is, it's self-adjusting, right? So if there's a new profile running, a new application running, MaxCache will self-adjust because it will check what is the new frequently used data and stores it primarily in the SSD array. And so this is a good balance then and helps you price and performance.
Great for optimization, yeah. Where can viewers learn more?
Well, so below here, there should be some links where there are cell sheets, there are the compatibility.
Notes,
yeah, the episode notes. Yeah, right. And so there's more information, and I'm preparing for the second half this year, like a Microchip Microchip University course. We go deeper into the details on MaxCache, on MaxView, on security, SED encryption, and so on, with more screenshots and really in-depth, checking and demos.
Great. With that, let's get over to Aaliyah to see what kinds of questions we're getting from the interwebs. Aaliyah?
Awesome. Here's a question from Astrid from LinkedIn. Can the SED key management only be done in the GUI or MaxView?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. Thanks. Yeah, I forgot to mention actually that it's not just in MaxView. You can also do it in Archon, what is our CLI, but you also can do this in the UEFI BIOS, right? So there are basically 3 possibilities. The most convenient is obviously the GUI, simple click, right? And but you can do this also with the CLI and script it and so on.
Awesome. Thank you. Here's a YouTube question for you. Where can I find more product information in datasheets?
Yeah, so we just said in the links below, right, there are some support pages. There's the Ask, that's the Adaptec support knowledge base, where also some items are explained regarding SED, for example. There are several articles so the customers can look at and inform themselves.
Thank you. Another LinkedIn question for you, Klaus. If the device I want to use is not listed on the compatibility matrix, what can I do?
Well, you could just contact us and let us know, because the lists are updated regularly, but it might have been already qualified, but not the list is updated. So, and we are eager to hear if somebody found a device that is not listed yet. So we want to, update our list.
Perfect. Let's do one more question. This one is also from LinkedIn. What is meant by cache protection?
Okay, that's a good question. I mean, the RAID adapters have obviously cache, right? Up to 8 gigabytes cache, and mostly, or you can adjust the cache as you like, but it's, let's say 50% is write cache, and the data in the write cache, if there's like, for example, a power issue or a power failure, all this data that is in the write cache and not written to the devices yet would be lost. So cache protection is a mechanism. It's basically a flash memory, and we call it a supercap. So we don't use batteries anymore, but a supercapacitor that gives enough energy for the cache, especially the write cache, to be saved to non-volatile RAM, to NVS RAM, for example, or to flash. And then the next boot, the devices are hopefully found again, and then the adapter will save these cached information on the devices.
Great. Thank you, Klaus. Those are all the questions I have for you today. And for the audience out there, if you have additional questions or comments, please email us at livestream@microchip.com after this episode. And don't forget to follow us on LinkedIn and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Back to you, Dana.
Thanks, Aaliyah. That's all the time we have for today. Special thanks to Klaus for sharing his expertise with us today. If you'd like more Coffee Break, head over to microchip.com/coffee break and click on the subscribe button to get updates for all things Coffee Break. You can also see upcoming episodes for Season 15. And of course, be sure to join us next time on Coffee Break as we explore a new solution for maximizing EEPROM reliability. Until then, stay curious, stay creative, stay caffeinated.